The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails. NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows. Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Valhalla Hour here, streaming live on Roku TV, Fire Stick, and Facebook, X, and YouTube. How are you guys doing this morning?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Glad to have you. We got Matthew this morning. We got Eric. Got a couple more that may be joining us and everything. But Matthew, we had a huge win in Lambeau Field. Why don't you give us the rundown, give us the recap of what went on there?
Man, I love Speedy Naylor, but it was awesome having Jordan Addison back. When we knew that Jair was out, that was a game changer. I was a little disappointed. I was really hoping that we could put that Jefferson, Jair Alexander narrative to rest. But thank God he was out because Addison had 2 tutties, and Jefferson just absolutely bodied that guy for his super slick 3rd touchdown of the game. Put us up a quick 28-0. Unfortunately, Speedy Naylor muffed a punt and should have just kind of let that one go in the back of the end zone, and it set Green Bay up with a pretty quick score. We should have got into the half up 28-0, if not possibly 35-0, which would have been incredible. I mean, our offense was just humming along. Second half, not so great, obviously. Packers put up a quick touchdown again, and then we get that stupid sack fumble, which didn't really help. But then our defense kind of clicked again. We got the interception. We got the forced fumble. Gruger Hill, I think his name is, the one that stepped in for Pace again with an absolute monster play again.
Gruger Hill, hell yeah.
Gruger.
Yeah. Gruger Hill.
He's been an absolute diamond in the rough for these last couple games. He's had a couple misses, but he's also made a couple really huge plays. KOC is 21-0 now in games where we at least tie or win the turnover battle, and we picked Jordan Love off 3 times and walked away with the win. I feel like we got kind of robbed on that 4th and 1. I feel like we converted that, but we didn't have any more challenge plans, so not much you can do there. I feel like we picked that up, but got out of there with a win. We're 4-0. Gotta love to see it, and I love that we're playing at 8:30 tomorrow. I love early games.
Hell yeah. Yeah, one interesting thing that I went and I looked some stuff up on Gruger Hill. He's been around for a while on several different teams. Coming into just getting his chance the last couple weeks on the Vikings when Ivan Pace has been out, who by the way is coming back. He has doubled his career interceptions in 2 games with the Vikings. He has 4 now. He had 2. Otherwise, playing with like 5 different teams and everything. Camus, Gruger Hill, really made the most of this opportunity that he had. What stuck out to you in that, Eric? I mean, things could not have possibly went better in that first half, and then all of a sudden, here they come in the second half, and we're playing that a stupid, conservative defense, or the pass rush just ain't getting there in the second half, right? And they start coming back. What was your thoughts, being a traumatized, lifelong Vikings fan?
I started to get a little nervous, but like Matthew, that muffed punch or the punt that Naylor should just let go, just swung the momentum. It just like in moments came out a little flat, and it's I don't know if we so much went into like a prevent more or more relaxed defense, but man, what did I see a stat that we've only trailed for season. The next call is 27 minutes. So I think our defense kind of just knew the ball was going to be thrown a lot and couldn't do much. I think Murphy had a rough game. He came back and got the pick and the forced fumble. Just, they know. I mean, we basically the way our season's gone is they're going to throw on us. Well, I think Love had like 50 some attempts. I'm like, Christ. But I mean, I think it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. There wasn't a lot of pressure towards the end there. We weren't getting home.
Yeah. And that's the thing with the rotation. I like it, but we also had a couple guys, that were limited. Dallas Turner coming back off an injury, and he missed a game and everything. Hopefully we're fully healthy, because when you are that blitz heavy, it relies on having a pretty steady rotation of guys rushing, and we have them. Between Van Ginkel, Grenard, Dallas Turner, Jihad Ward. One of the biggest surprises to me is all the pressure Pat Jones. Maybe I was wrong about Pat Jones the second, because that guy's like leading the freaking team almost in sacks right now. I mean, it's crazy. We're bringing them from everywhere too. So hopefully, and I know just like watching the interviews from Flores and the defensive players, I do believe Flores kind of chewed some ass after that game. It just.
Oh yeah.
It's the way that the players were hinting, and if you watch Van Ginkel's interview and everything, those guys they're happy for the dub in a very hard place to win in Lambeau, but they were not happy about the second half. Went and got a couple comments. Our buddy Matt Henry, the Bears fan, good afternoon. And then he turns right around and says, Adams to Vikings for McCarthy. No. we need another wide receiver on this team. Like the Titanic needs another iceberg right now. We're not giving you JJ McCarthy. We're not giving up JJ McCarthy for Devontae Adams.
Right.
No.
One thing I like to see, there was an interview they did with Blake Cashman where he said, like, kind of what you're saying, like, yeah, we got the win, we did enough to get out of there. But he's like, we're basically treating it like a loss. He's like, we're basically not going to let that shit happen again. Like, they took that personally, that they had such a poor second half. So I don't think they're going to be so complacent this week. I think that was kind of their humbling, like, punch in the mouth moment. They didn't like it. So they're going to come out guns a-blazing tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a couple Packer fans. Go Pack Go, and Go Pack Go from Sam and Pam. Thanks for watching, you guys. All in all, it looked like it was going to be a blowout, and it turned out to be a very exciting game. And I have a coworker that actually went to Lambeau Field and attended that game in person and everything. And there's some people that left at the half, but the ones that stayed, they got their money's worth out of them tickets,
right?
For sure. So. What do you guys feel was, and let us know in the comments too, the most defining play of the game? Like to me, it was, I think when they missed that second field goal, even though it was early on, the omen was kind of there. And the comeback started scaring me, but I'm like, you know what? Things are going right for the Vikings in this game. And when Justin Jefferson caught that touchdown and we went up 28-0, I was like, even if there is a comeback, I bet you we can hold them off. And we did, What do you guys think was the defining play of the game? I mean, there was a lot of bad things in the second half of the way our defense played, but when did you feel comfortable with it?
I definitely didn't feel comfortable with it until the clock
For
hit
me,
0 because
I'd
Green
say,
Bay. Oh,
Go ahead, Eric. There's a little
no,
lag.
I
Go
got a
ahead.
delay again, guys.
gotcha.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
when
I was
Murph
pretty
caused that
nervous until the
fumble, I
clock hit
felt a
0.
lot more comfortable.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say when Murphy caused that fumble, I think that made me take a little bit of weight off. I wasn't 100%. I think I reached that 90%. Like, okay, defense still hasn't given. You know, we're gonna hold them off. So
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew.
Yeah, that interception that shouldn't have been kind of had me a little razzled because that should not have counted. And when stuff like that happens, it's like, okay, well, is the tie going to turn in Green Bay's favor? Are we going to muff another punt? Are we going to, is Sam Darnold going to just throw a random pick? So I was pretty nervous the entire game, especially because Jordan Love, once his knee, I think, just kind of numbed up from the pain, he was able to play more effectively and he was just delivering darts. And then the defense being out there for so long, they start to kind of get gassed. So I was at the bar with a friend. I left with about 3.5 minutes left because we were still up by I think 2 scores at that point. And by the time I got home, I was like, "What the hell is happening?" So I got too complacent.
Right on. So let's move we to our hero and zero segment of the game. I have you guys go first. Who your hero and who your zero was for the game, Matt Matthew.
Yeah, so I'd say my hero for the game is Justin Jefferson. I know that's an easy grab, but just the way he commands the offense and delivers double teams to get other receivers open, and then even when he is covered like glue, he still just makes an absolute man of a catch. And my zero, probably either the secondary or honestly KOC for the second half coaching. I think he was trying too hard to get Aaron Jones that touchdown in Green Bay, and he kind of went away with the play calling that we should have done that was working the first half, which was throwing the ball. And I think obviously when you have a 28-0 lead, you're gonna want to, or a 28-7, then you're gonna want to run the ball and run the clock out. But I think we went away from the passing game a little too early. So with the secondary and KOC, I'd give my zero for the week.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to do something. My hero, my zero is the same person. I'm going to go with the guy we talked about earlier, Kamu Grugier Hill. He's a hero for for getting his second interception in as many games and having a wonderful first half. And then he's also my zero because he let a lot of stuff get past him. In my count, he allowed at least 5 or 6 first downs for the Packers in the second half that shouldn't have been. I mean, and it was close. I think, maybe they were starting to get a little bit gassed in the second half or whatever, because our offense didn't have a lot of time of possession per what the score was. And our
Right.
was on the field an awful freaking lot in the second half. And that could be it. And that shit happens, and we're only in week 4. I mean, the conditioning is finally starting to settle in, but all in all, if I had to pick a different hero of the game or whatever, once again, Will Thrill Reichard, is still perfect. Knock on wood, and hopefully it remains that way. So,
Yeah.
let me break up. Eric's trying to come back in. He reloaded. There we go. Can you hear us better this time, Eric?
I think so. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can.
Oh yeah.
So we're just discussing
good.
heroes and zeros, and it's your turn.
I think I'm going to have to kind of on the same note as Rob, the same guy. not the same guy, but my hero MI0 is the same player is Byron Murphy Jr. His coverage was awful, but he came up with 2 big turnovers when we needed them both. So,
right.
Yeah. And Bill, the Packer fan, says, you clowns got a decent team so far this season. Got to give you clowns some credit when it's due. Well, thanks, Bill. That's awesome for you to say that. I know Bill and me have been going back and forth all week on our Facebook pages and everything, and I'm pretty sure no one was more angry than Bill in the first half, and no one was more happy than Bill in the second half when they started mounting that comeback. But as it turns out, for the second year in a row, the Vikings did escape Lambeau Field with a W, which is, it isn't very often we have that happen either. Normally we split, and we win in our stadium, they win in theirs. So now the key is not to let them come back and just kick the ever living shit out of us like in our stadium, like they did last year. Hopefully, the health of the players is always going to have a big say in
right.
that.
God forbid Jaron Hall starts a game for us again.
Oh God, yeah. Thankfully, he's not on the team.
That's fair. Brett Ripon.
Scott says, why are you showing Vikings fans here? Well, Scott, because we just got done playing you in your own stadium when we beat you, and we wanted to give you the opportunity to come on and voice your opinions to some Vikings fans of how you thought the game went, what you thought could have went better, and then what you're also looking forward to as a Packers fan, because we cover the entire NFC North on the show as well as just Vikings. So feel free to comment, Scott, of what you would have liked to see different, what you think maybe went wrong in that first half, what you liked with the adjustments the Packers made in the second half. Go ahead and throw it up here, and we'll discuss it. So,
the Packers did have the number one, or they're at least tied for the number one most explosive offense with something like 94 explosive plays going into the week. So it's not like they were a lethargic offense that we just happened to look bad against. We shut them down completely for 3/4 of that game. And stuff happened, and we had a really bad quarter. So I'm not going to – people want to say that our defense got exposed for giving up a 29-3 run, but their supposed great defense gave up a 28-0 run to Sam Darnold. So
right. And as of right now, the Vikings and the Lions are tied for the most pressures in the NFL. The Vikings lead with the most sacks in the NFL, and the Vikings and Green Bay are tied for the most takeaways in the NFL right now. Pretty good company. And if there's one thing that does ring true, is when we sat here before the season and said, and even before we knew what we had in Sam Darnold, outside of that, we said the NFC North could be by far the best division in football. And right now, gents, it's looking that way. I will go as far as to say that any one of our teams, the Bears being the most iffy, but any one of our teams could easily be the NFC South, East, or West champions, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Matthew?
Yeah. I guess, Washington is really good, so probably not the East, but I think we definitely take the division over Atlanta or the Saints. We said going into the season that the worst team in this division, if all goes right, could be an 8-win team. And it looks like the top 3 teams might all be double-digit win teams in this division as it's looking right now. So,
yeah, and the Bears could actually they look like they're finding ways to win, and it's not necessarily because of Caleb Williams either. Their defense is coming together. They do have a hell of a lot of playmakers there. This could be super interesting. One thing I will say, and Moses just said, I don't care as much about others as 4. No, we've been there before. I'm too old. With only one goal in mind, which obviously is a Super Bowl win and everything. I agree. But if we can get out of London tomorrow and keep our record in London perfect, because we've never lost a game in London. We're undefeated. I don't know if people knew that or not. Overall the years.
3-0.
Yep. So if we can beat Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and it seems like toward the end of Rodgers' stint with Green Bay, the Vikings had figured him out and had his number. And then KOC is basically 1-0 against him. So I think I think if we get out of that game tomorrow morning and we're 5-0, that exceeded expectations of everybody. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Vegas has bumped us up to odds for the win total of the season. It was hanging around 7, and they got us at 11 now. And
Jeez.
start the season 5-0, go into the bye week relatively healthy with a 5-0 record. I mean, who saw that coming? Nobody.
Right. Well, that has been kind of my favorite stat of the week is the Vikings could finish 500 the rest of the season and still finish with 11-6.
Yep.
So, like, that's an incredible start to start 4-0. And Sam Darnold's knee clearly looks like it's still kind of bothering him. So, I'm really happy that we have this early bye. I didn't like it before the season started. I hate early buys, but we do have the main player on this team that can use that week off to get his knee fully healthy.
Yep.
So yeah, if we go into the bye 5-0, even if we win 500, people are like, oh well, we finished the season and lost half our games. Yeah, but you won 11 games in a season where people were saying you were going to flirt with the first round pick, or first overall pick.
Yep. So Will says Vikings all the way. Thanks for checking in from Sioux Falls there. Will, awesome skull. Bill makes a couple good points here. He says Rodgers hasn't lost a game in London either. True. And Bill then says he's also lost his touch a bit. He can still throw, just not as fast as he used to. I think you can beat the Jets. And Bill, the Packer fan, is predicting Vikings 28, Jets 17. That's funny because that's about what I was predicting. I was going to say more like 24-17. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a winnable game. What we got coming up here and everything. Since we've kind of, I mean, there's not a lot left to really discuss the game in Green Bay. I mean, it just looks like things are clicking, for us this year. So what, I guess, for you two gentlemen, Matthew, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Eric. What about the Jets defense? Because they got a pretty good one. What scares you? Last time we played these guys was 2022, and we had a real shit defense then and everything. But we managed to beat them. I mean, they've got some good freaking players over there,
Right.
What scares you about the Jets defense, and what do we have to do to mitigate that?
So probably the one that scares me the most is Sauce Gardner. The only reason I'm not super scared of him is because they don't have him cover the number one receiver. He doesn't float to both sides. He plays on the same side most of the time. So we got to mix up JJ to have him not get covered. But he's an absolute elite corner. He's an absolute shutdown corner. He's going to take whatever receiver he's on out of the game. And yeah, he'd be my most feared.
Yeah. And I know there's a bit of a lag, Eric, but go ahead with what your concerns are with the Jets defense. Obviously, Sauce, and then look at what they have for their pass rush and their linebackers and stuff like that. What do you think? And we'll give you a minute to respond here because I know your phone does have a little lag. So,
my guy, I think my biggest concern would be Quentin Williams in that middle. I'm still not behind Ingram, and Bradbury hasn't been all that stellar. But I think Quentin Williams in that middle could be a big thorn in our side for most of that game.
right on. What do you guys? What do you think about what we need to do on offense? On our defense. I'm sorry to prepare for their offense. Because, I mean, Rodgers is still Rodgers, and he's got some weapons. I mean, they've got a running back, they've got a wide receiver, so far we haven't gotten gashed in the run game real bad at all. I mean, our passing yards, just because of the style that we play, yardage is the one thing that we're like dead last in the league because we do give up yards, but we're also leading the league in sacks. We have one of the best scoring defenses in the league. We're tied with the Lions for pressures, like I said earlier. People get their yards. We're number 2 or 3, I believe, against the run, believe it or not.
Yeah.
How do you guys think they're going to deploy Brees Hall, and then in their passing game with like Garrett Wilson and stuff like that? What do you guys think? What do you think we need to key on? If you're Brian Flores, how are you going to approach this? With are you going to blitz as much as you have been taking it to younger guys like, well, Brock Purdy's not that young, but are you going to blitz Aaron Rodgers the same way that you blitz Brock Purdy and then turn around and blitz second year man CJ Stroud and then Jordan Love in the first half? Are you going to do that to Rodgers, or do you have something totally different that you would think you would do? And we'll start with you, Matthew.
So I don't know if it's just hubris, but I actually have zero fear of the Jets offense after what I saw last week. I get the weather wasn't the greatest, and the Broncos defense is clicking right now, but so is ours. And Aaron Rodgers failed to score a touchdown. They do have two really good running backs in Brees Hall and Braylon Allen, but they also are targeting Lazard at a weirdly high rate. And I feel like our defense can cover Lazard. They haven't really been using Garrett Wilson a whole bunch. I don't know if Rodgers just doesn't like him personally. There's discontent between Rodgers and the head coach. I think this is a very, very beatable offense. The Jets' strength is their defense. I know the Jets' offensive line last year was pretty terrible. I don't think they did a whole lot to shore that up. So I don't think we have to blitz a whole lot. I think we'll see, like we saw against San Francisco, some 3-man rushes and 4-man rushes and still get there. Rodgers is 40, going on 41 in 2 months, so I think his mobility is totally gone. I don't think we have to worry about him really kind of escaping from the edges, so I don't think we're going to have to do too much to take him out of the game. You guys said your predictions were like 24 or 27 to 17. Mine's 32-13. I'm going to give that away a little early. I think we absolutely dismantle their offense.
Yeah, to be honest, on offense, if we can have more good luck from Garrett Bradbury and Ed Ingram, and like Eric said, with Quentin Williams, Javon Kinlaw, those guys, I'm not worried about Clemens and McDonald because I think we have the best pair of offensive tackle bookends in the league too. If we can protect and not have the interior of our offensive line collapse, I really feel like we can run the score up again. And then, like you said, Alan Lazard, I mean, they have one dude that's really scares me, with, with Garrett Wilson, and then you got Alan Lazard, who we've seen for 10 freaking years and isn't really scaring anybody. And then, yeah, like I said earlier, if we can keep stuff in the run that we have, and part of the reason why our run defense, and I will give you this, part of the reason why our run defense is the way it is, because we've been playing with the lead every game all year long, except for like 2 minutes all season long. We've had a lead, and in some cases, we've had a pretty substantial one. Teams are throwing it against us. They're not running it against us.
Yeah.
Hold on here. Let me see who's chiming in. Oh, we got Mr. Will Lindahl joining us here on the podcast. Welcome, Will.
Afternoon.
So
got a quick break from work.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So to the comments here real quick, Brent from the Detroit Lions fan says, congratulations on a great team. Really thought you guys would be great. And he says, I hope you cream Aaron Rodgers. I think we will. There isn't a lot going on, and I usually keep my predictions pretty close because, the Jets got to London way earlier than we did too, and so I am a little bit concerned about like jet lag and sleep cycles affecting the team a little bit, but we'll see. And then Will Lancaster says, my biggest fear is that Jets D-line will exploit Bradbury to disrupt the offense. That's just it. If they can figure out what they need to do on alignments and protection packages and how they're going to run Darnold with a somewhat, gimped up knee and whatever, and make sure that the inside of that, our interior of our offensive line can hold up against the interior of their defensive line, then I think it should be pretty smooth sailing. So, but Lindahl, since you're here and everything, what's your thoughts? We're just kind of previewing what we think is going to happen on the Jets. What's your keys to victory, and what do you think we have to do on the offense and defensive side of the ball in order to get out of London with the W?
Well, first of all, I'd like to address that last comment that I'm not too concerned with what their defensive line can do as far as pass rush, because this season Darnold has been amongst the best in performing under pressure. So even if they do figure something out, I have a lot of confidence in what Darnold brings to the table this game. Plus, it's a revenge game for him. So I think it should be a pretty big game for Darnold. What concerns me though is going over to England and the jet lag and such. And these games can always be a huge question mark. It can go either way. These are always strange games. These European.
Yeah. I just got to looking at something. They're legitimately running our old tight end 3, Tyler Conklin, as their tight end 1 right now on their depth chart for this game tomorrow morning. In Vikings news, just to put this out, if you guys weren't aware in the audience, I know these guys are, but TJ Hawkinson was cleared and started practicing again yesterday. So hopefully we have TJ Hawkinson back after the bye week for the Lions game. You know, that's going to be very dependent. Kevin O'Connell said, going to be very dependent on the medical staff and whatever else. And of course, TJ being TJ, since he gets activated to practice and traveled with the team, asked to play already tomorrow morning against the Jets. Coach kind of laughed at him a little bit, and told him to calm down. But, it'll be good to get him back. One thing I'm not worried about, and then now that I say this, watch Tyler Conklin go ahead and have a huge fucking game against us for no good reason, But outside of outside of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and probably Braylon Allen a little bit, I guess I'm not super concerned. Xavier Gibson maybe getting some reps in there. He's got some speed. He can hurt you, but I do feel like we should handle business there in a halfway reasonable fashion. So
We could.
We do have to run a commercial here real quick. We're a little bit over our halfway point. We're going to run about a minute commercial, and then we'll be back right afterwards. Sorry, can't talk today to talk some more about the Vikings matchup. So stick with us. Here's a little bit about this Huddle Sports Network.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails. NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
All right, we are back. Lindahl, since you just joined us, I want to give you a chance to give all of your thoughts on the Packers game, your heroes and zeros, your key turning points, just what you thought and everything before we move on. Give you a chance there. However much time you want, give us your recap on the Packers.
I thought it was a great game overall. We did kind of let up off on the gas and played conservative and let them back in the game, which is historically what the Vikings do. Big turning point, who I'd give my 0 to, would be Jalen Naylor. He allowed them to think that they were back in it to begin with that muff punt he had on a very simple thing. He could have just stepped out the way if he lost it in the sun and waved it off, but he still tried to focus and catch it, which, I get it. He wanted to ensure the ball stayed there, and not give them a better punt, but he costed us, and that completely changed the tide of the game for a couple quarters there. But we held strong. We showed perseverance. Won in Lambeau, which is a very tough thing to do. So I think that was a very strong game for us, despite what the final score may say.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty consistent with what we were thinking earlier too, and everything on here. So, okay, let's do injury report heading in. They haven't really, because of the travel time, released much anything after Thursday, but it looks like everyone was full with the only limited being Josh Oliver with a wrist and Brandon Powell with some kind of a chest injury. Otherwise, Darnold was full, Ivan Pace Jr. was full, and Caleb Evans was full. It looks like we will be heading into this Jets game pretty much healthy. And to me, that's been a huge story this year for the Minnesota Vikings, because as much as injuries was a huge part of the story last year with the way that the season just went down the shitter and didn't go the way that we thought. I think the fact of having everybody available, mostly with a couple exceptions. I mean, we didn't have Ivan Pace for a couple games. We missed Dallas Turner, for a game and stuff like that. For the most part, this team has depth and they have health, and that's one reason why I think we're having the success that we have. What do you guys think about that theory?
Yeah, it's crazy we're even saying that because we lost McCarthy going into the season, and we thought all hope was lost. And here's Sam Darnold. Even if McCarthy was healthy, he'd have no reason to be on the field because Darnold's just absolutely playing out of his mind. And Addison has his court hearing coming up, but again, we've talked about this before. I don't think that's going to affect any type of suspension this season. So unless he has another ankle injury, can probably count on him playing the whole season. And our strength and conditioning coaches have been doing a pretty good job. The injuries we have had have all been like ligaments and stuff like that. We haven't really had any of those calves or groins or anything like that. So fingers crossed, again, knock on wood, that stays the trend.
Yeah. Anyone else want to try?
I think Matthew nailed it. I mean,
I
he
think
said exactly what I was thinking.
with he's pretty right on. I was really worried about some of these older, like Gilmore, coming in late and not having a full off season and not way. But from what I can tell, our training staff is top notch in the whole league. So I think our guys will be pretty good. Hope Taylor, because he never stays healthy, not would. Yeah, just and we're looking at Reisner coming back after the bye and staying healthy is a good.
Right.
Right on. Okay, let's move around to the NFC North now. We'll come back with final predictions and final thoughts on the Jets, but I do want to. We didn't get a chance last week to go around to the other three teams and everything. So since we're at that time, let's start off with the 1-3 Panthers visiting the 2-2 Bears. What do you guys think? We'll just go around the clock. So we'll go Matthew, Will, and then we'll go Eric and everything. So Matthew, you got Carolina that struggled mightily going to the Bears, who are improving every week. One could argue. What do you think?
Yeah, Carolina's been sort of a different team with Andy Dalton at the helm, so I'm not going to immediately count them out, but the Bears' defense is ferocious. I think they could take Andy Dalton out of the game. But I'm still not a believer in the Bears offense yet. Swift had a big game last week, but he was kind of non-existent the 2 weeks prior. Caleb Williams is getting a little better, but he's still not quite there yet. I'm hoping, obviously, that Carolina can squeak one out, but Bears probably win by a field goal.
Right on. Lindahl?
Yeah, I'd like to say the Bears should be a lock, up until Dalton took over, like Matthew said. He does give this team a different dynamic. So it's not so much a lock. I think it should be a very close game within a field goal as well. And it all matters if the Bears can establish a run game, I think. But it could go either way. Within 3 points, I think this game ends.
Right. What do you think about DeAndre Swift?
With poor blocking, he looks lost out there. He can't seem to find the hole, and he doesn't know where to run. It's running scared, basically.
Yeah.
he needs that line like the Eagles had. They just open up the hole and he can hit the hole. He's Alexander Madison basically.
Well, go ahead, Eric. When you get this. Unless he froze up.
Is he straight up frozen?
He might be froze up.
Yep, that does look froze.
Okay.
Yeah, Matthew pretty much nailed that one.
Oh, there he is.
Actually, it's just a long leg.
I'm going to say it's a close, low scoring game, but I'm just because Dalton sparked.
Okay. So I guess for me, the Bears, they had better win this. If they don't, they're in danger of getting buried in the NFC North just because of the fact, the
I'm going to
Lions
cut
are on a
out,
bye
guys.
week,
This
they're
leg
getting
is
healthy. They're also
killing me.
okay. Thanks for joining us, Eric. Yeah. So we moved to a new streaming platform, and on certain cell phones and everything, it seems to it seems to take a lot of bandwidth, and it's a little bit harder to get logged in and whatever. Some of them seem to work fine, like Lindell's. Whatever phone you've got seems to be working pretty well. So, but with the Lions being on the bye that they are and getting healthy and looking good, the Bears had better win this because the Packers, I feel, are probably still a 10-win, 11-win team. The potential is there. They've had a bit of a rough start and whatever, but about the time week 6, week 7 hits is when that team usually really gets their ass in gear and starts gelling and starts doing stuff. And to be honest, they're 2-2. It's not like it's not like they're in any kind of serious trouble or whatever. And they're playing the Rams, a team which they should, on paper, let's see here, which they should on paper be able to beat. Let's talk about the Packers versus the Rams here and everything. What do you guys what do you got on that? The venue is in Los Angeles, by the way. It's at SoFi Stadium. Packers going on the road. Rams have been kind of up and down and inconsistent and whatever. So let me know what you think. Let's go with Lindahl. If you had to really think about this, Packers coming off of a real heartbreaking defeat, going on the road to play the Rams in LA. Their fans are going to travel, and they'll probably have more Packer fans than Rams fans in that stadium. But what's your best guess on this one?
Well, this is a tough one to call because the Rams are the Packers are going to be hungry. They're going to be pissed off after the loss they just took at home.
Oh yeah.
And the Rams are an up and down team. There's been some games where they look great. There's been some where they're quite suspect. And I think a lot of that falls onto their defense. And the Packers offense didn't look too bad with Jordan Love. I was surprised. I didn't expect him to look as good as he did. He still threw 3 picks, but he has some solid crisp passes there. So I might go Packers 27-21 over Rams.
Okay. Matthew?
Yeah, so Jordan Love is 0-2 as a starter for the Packers this season. Malik Willis was the one that got him the 2 wins. I'm not saying that Malik Willis is the better quarterback, but Jordan Love will probably be closer to 100% than he was last week. But I think he's kind of regressing a little bit, having that sophomore slump, and he's turned the ball over. He only had 11 total interceptions all season last year, and he already has 4 in 2 starts this year. The Rams are a sneaky, decent team. They played the 49ers, who granted didn't have a couple of their offensive players, but they played them really, really well. And I think the 49ers are a better team than the Packers. You have Dobbs on the Packers now, who all of a sudden is discontent, saying that he feels like he's not being used enough, even though he's at number 2 in targets. Wicks is super streaky. Watson's hurt. I don't know what the Rams' run defense is like. I haven't really paid attention to them, but we'll see which version of Josh Jacobs we get tomorrow. I think the Rams can walk away with this one. I'll say Rams 24, Packers 17.
Yeah, and that was an interesting storyline that you just brought up. Let's talk about Romeo Dobbs here real quick because apparently he just quit going to practice here for the past 2 days because he's mad about his role in the offense. So I don't know. Most coaches are going to suspend you for a game. I mean, just on their own for pulling a stunt like that. And I get it if you're not happy with how you're being used. I mean, the last time we seen something like that, it was Stephon Diggs, but at least he went to the practice and played the games and then forced his way into a trade in the offseason. Being that way. I don't know. Maybe one thing that he could do is not drop the fucking football. That might help his cause out if he's trying to get some of the targets that Jaden Reed or Dontavian Wicks is getting. What do you guys make of this Dobbs thing, anyways?
It's absolutely ridiculous. He's got the second most targets on that team. He got 8 against the Vikings last week. I don't get what his issue is. Right now, he's basically operating as their wide receiver one. With actually Reed, who is their best wide receiver, operates out of the slot mostly.
Right.
And he doesn't have the prestige that Diggs did pulling this move. I mean, this is what happens when you tell your team that you have 5 wide receiver ones.
Exactly. But that's what's even crazier is that was their whole mantra. And you think as a team they'd buy into it, like, hey, we're all equal. And so he's like, well, why am I not better than the people I'm supposed to be equal with?
Yeah. And he's got
Makes
second
no
most targets.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah,
So
usually you have to be good to be a diva.
the Green Bay Packers right now have officially listed his reasons for not being at practice the past 2 days is personal reasons. So in typical fashion anymore, of course, Dobbs has went and deleted anything Packer related off of like his Instagram account and his that's a one I'm seeing. I'm not sure if he's on Twitter or not or whatever, but then you have one of the Packers beats reporters that's saying, hearing there's more to the Romeo Dobbs situation than what we're seeing in the media. There's 2 sides to every story, and there's missing details that are making this one really one-sided. And so then, okay, so you got a fire burning. What do you have to do? Public relations, your media team for your team. Why isn't somebody grabbing this one by the horns? Why are they just letting this go on for the 3rd day in a row now? You would think that somebody would step in and try and bring some clarity or make a statement on it. So far, at least for what I found, there's nothing on the Romeo Dobbs situation. So that kind of stuff causes chaos in your locker room as well. Sometimes it can be a motivator. More times than not, it's considered a cancer in the clubhouse, and it really affects the way the team performs on Sunday too. So that being said, the Rams have not had a good year, right? But I do think the Packers are going to be pissed off going in there. I think they'll find a way to win. I just think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I'm going to say Packers 31, Rams 27. And I'm going to reserve the possibility that the Rams play out of their mind and actually beat that team too, because they've got things going on and whatever else too. I do think they'll be riding a little bit of a high because of the comeback that they made, even though it fell short or whatever, they did make quite a 4th quarter comeback against us and whatever. And I think that's more on us than it is them. We'll see once what the Rams defense does, I guess. But let's any other interesting matchups that you guys have seen that would have any kind of implications with what'd you think? We got to talk about it just because it was Cousins. What'd you think about Thursday night?
Man. It was amazing. Wish we got more of that primetime Kirk when he was with the Vikings.
Yeah, 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. That was a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it actually helped the Vikings just in the overall NFC picture, just because Tampa Bay was 3-1 or whatever they were at the time and everything. So, I mean, it was beneficial for the Falcons to win that one, but then again, it's like, you sat here for 6 years in Minnesota, Kirk. Where was that shit when we needed it? Granted, it's a regular season game, but
well,
Matthew,
yeah, I'm kind of the resident Kirk Cousins supporter. I was a huge staunch defender of him when everyone was kind of hating on him. If you actually look at his stats during primetime games, excuse me, his stats are actually pretty above average. The win losses weren't there. But again, in 2020, 2021, 2022, our defense was ranked in the mid 20s or worse. Dalvin Cook, he was kind of trending downwards. We didn't really have the greatest run game his last few years here, but he did have that big primetime game versus the Patriots on Thanksgiving. He played. I mean, he won that Giants game. Our defense lost us that game. People can talk about 4th and 8, but the play before that, he hit KJ Osborne right in the chest. He put up the only 3 touchdowns our offense scored that game. He's put up in prime time. It's usually his teams that let him down, and Atlanta actually has a decent defense. So you're going to see a lot more of those primetime wins with Kirk when he actually has a top 15 defense, as we were starting to see last year. He was balling out. So
yeah. So we have roughly about 8 minutes left. I want to circle back then and let's give our final thoughts and perspectives on the Jets. Here's one you guys are really going to appreciate being a Vikings fan. Okay, if we win on Sunday, obviously we're 5-0. Do you know what the last team was to be 5-0 and not make the playoffs?
Vikings in 2016.
Yeah, it was us. that about figures. Again, knocking on wood, not to jinx us, but it certainly does not hurt.
That was a very jinxed season. I mean, injuries crushed us that year.
Oh God, yes.
And that's the same season North Turner quit too, isn't it?
No, that was
I think that was beginning.
Yes.
That was 2015.
Yep.
Okay.
He was Kubiak. Yep.
Okay.
So, looks like I cannot find an updated injury report. I've been looking for the past 10 minutes. We're just going to roll with what we went off of Thursday's report and just say that we're going to have all hands on deck. That's of people that are not on IR and everything. One thing I didn't see, I do want to address this real quick though. So when we said Hawkinson was brought back on his 21-day practice window, Reisner hasn't been yet. Have you guys heard anything on that? Because I also can't find anything on that. Presumably, he's still on IR, and we'll have to see once what happens after this game throughout the bye week of what they do with him. Here's my question: if they get Reisner back as well within this time frame, and he's ready to go for the Lions or the game after that, has Ed Ingram played well enough to stay in there, or do you think you want to try putting Reisner in at right guard? Because of the times where we've had issues with pressure, that's right usually where it's been.
Up the middle.
What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think we put Risner back in there. He's earned it. He's proved it. And Ingram, he can be that pumpkin at midnight at any moment.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Ingram's even played that well. I think he just gets the benefit of having a really good right tackle next to him. So, yeah, I think you immediately swap Reisner out. But I did look it up yesterday. The last I saw was KOC was a little more tight-lipped about him, saying that his return is still debatable. I don't think it's going to be a full season type thing. You hope you don't see that, but it really doesn't sound like he's particularly close. It might still be another 3 or 4 week thing.
Yeah. Just catching up on comments real quick. So Will was chiming in on our earlier discussion with the Packers. He says Packers come in too pissed about last week's loss about this game. Rams play spoiler 31-14. Or Packers is what he meant. Play spoiler 31-14. And then he also said Tampa's Bay defense couldn't get out of their own way, which is also true on that game and everything for Cousins. Look, I'm looking for another big game out of our wide receivers, Jefferson and Addison. So the last time that we were in London, it was the Jefferson and Thielen show. And Jefferson absolutely cooked Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints, who I fucking hate, and you guys know this, right? The Saints are my most hated team that there is in the NFL. It's not the Packers, it's not the Lions, it's not the Bears, not even close. Them freaking Saints. I don't hate them as much now that Sean McVay's not there as their coach anymore or whatever. But boy, I tell you what, that brought me great pleasure seeing Justin Jefferson just absolutely jackhammer Marshawn Lattimore. He had like 147 yards of receiving, 10 receptions, a touchdown. And now his counterpart then was Thielen, and Thielen had a nice one too, and then had one of those slide, soccer celebrations that made all the London fans happy. That was a fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to a fun game. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Addison and Jefferson will do in this game. I'm really glad we got Addison back, and then you've got Naylor in there. What I really think is key is between him and Powell, let's get this special team shit cleaned up.
Yeah.
Because like you guys said, we could have went up 30 plus, we could have really, really hammered them. And I mean, at that point in time, you could have really made them one dimensional with what they were trying to do. And yeah, they probably would have scored some points and everything, but that muff punt, I really do feel was the key in that game. And I think playing a clean game with no mistakes on special teams, because that just goes to show you how much special teams can hurt you. We've been pleased all year with Will Rijkaard making kicks for once in Vikings history, and not missing field goals, not missing points after and everything. We have nothing to bitch about to present time of right now about our kicking game. Now it's the other phases of special teams we need to get cleaned up. I don't feel like we have a real good handle on anything having to come with kick or punt returns. We have done nothing. The one guy that could have made a difference on either end, Keenan Nwangu, is not the team anymore. Yeah. And then he didn't get on the Saints because he failed a physical. So I still haven't gotten a solid answer out of anybody or any research that I've done on what's going on with that, or if we could get him back. And I don't think we're going to, but I'm just going to say, I think we go into London and we beat the New York Jets 28. I'm going to say 31-24. So go ahead and recap it, William, or give me your best prediction and what you think we need to do in order to win and what you think the score will be then.
I think we're going to come out firing again. I think they want to show we're for real. Jefferson's probably going to be hungry to go up against Sauce, so that's going to be an interesting matchup, which I think Jefferson's going to win. It's not going to be like an amazing game. Probably get about 80 yards and a touchdown, and Addison's going to have a big game. He'll probably go over 100, another touchdown himself. And I got the Vikings 31-17.
Nice. I'm loving the fact of winning by more than one score, to be honest. It's been a great year. So, Matthew, go ahead and round this thing out for us.
Yeah, I kind of spoiled mine earlier with my 32-13, but London is a very Viking-heavy fan base, and a lot of Vikings fans travel very well to London. We have some people on the show that are there. So I think it's going to basically be a home game, and I think that Jefferson plays best when the lights are bright. Granted, it's 8:30 in the morning, but it's a different type of game. It's a London game. He's going to want to show out. I'm not worried about the Jets' offense. I think we just put them away.
Awesome. Well, you know what, guys? Thank you for joining us. Good show. Be prepared to get up early in the morning and everything for your eggs and bacon. And if you're in London, I guess you're getting stuck with some bangers and hash. Cheerio. Enjoy the tea. I'll be having some coffee sitting at the Legion in Ames, Iowa, getting ready to watch this team kick some ass. So thank you guys for coming. It's been a great week. It's been a great season. I'm looking forward to being 5-0. We'll see you guys next week. All right. Skol.
Next week. Skol.
The Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow